Hey guys, John from Canadian Brew Channel. Welcome back. It's been a little while since I did a video. Today is gonna be something a little different again. I'm trying to mix it up. My last one I did a hot sauce review with my buddy Sean. We did my latest beer that I did, which was kind of like New England IPA a little bit, like a juicy IPA. Today I'm gonna go through open fermentation. I've never done open fermentation before, but this time I thought, you know what, I've been brewing for quite a few years. I think I can easily pull this off. I have the equipment to make it much easier to do. So yeah, I've started doing a Saison, and basically I'll go through what you're about to see, and any questions you guys put them down in the comments. I'm really interested to see how this turns out, and with no further ado, let's just take a look at what's going on with open fermentation. Cheers, enjoy. So as you can see, I've got my wort cooling down pretty quick. I'm going to cool it down to probably about, let's say, 70 degrees, maybe 71. I'm then going to dump it into here, and I am going to attempt an open fermentation. So everything's been sanitized. I'm going to dump the wort into here. I'm going to pitch the yeast, and I've got the cover right here. That at the beginning, I'm first just going to lay that cover on top loosely, so it's actually still an open fermentation. I don't want to just leave it wide open, because if you look above here, I've got open beams and stuff. I don't want bugs or something falling in there. It's not a sanitary enough area to leave this wide open, but I am going to be every day scooping some of the top cropping, basically the yeast, to save, and I'm going to videotape what that looks like. And it's going to be interesting to see this Saison with a open fermentation. So I have it down to about 72 degrees. The reason I stopped at that is yeast actually does like to kind of be pitched when it's a little warm. So I'm going to pitch it I'm gonna probably pitch it now and just let it mix in there. Okay, so I had to do that with two hands. So I have pitched the yeast, and I'm just gonna let this just splash around in there. Why not, right? Get all that yeast all into suspension. Put that back in there, and like I said, oh, look at this. Okay, so I've now pitched yeast. This is open fermentation that I'm trying to do. So I've got my top over here now, and I have sanitized everything. And actually, I will just give another quick sanitizing on the top rim. But there's going to be no pressure being held in here. There's no gasket. I've removed the gasket off this lid, so this will sit on here, and I'm going to use this ring to hook on. So I've just put the ring on, and now all I'm going to do is just secure this so it can't fall off. I can tighten this all I want. There is no seal on here, so it's open. But I just want it to stay on. And what I've done with the blow off here is I just put a piece of tin foil loosely on there so nothing can fall in there. I had some fruit flies down here because I had some cider going, so I don't want them flying in there either. Once this gets fermenting, which will be in the next 12 hours, then I'm gonna take a video probably tomorrow night. Actually, I'll take one in 24 hours to show you what it looks like when I take the top off to do some shots of the fermentation. Okay, so I've hooked up my heater. I'm not even going to use my cooling lines this time. I didn't put it in here because I want to be able to lift this off, and my cooling coil is like 2 feet long, 2.5 feet long, so it'd be in the way. And it's now winter time here. It's cooling off in the basement, so the basement usually sits around 68 degrees, so I'm not worried about it getting warm down here. So right now it's showing 73.4, 73.56. Oh, it's going up. I just put the probe in, so that's fine. That's 73, 74 degrees. It's going to cool down now because in the basement it sits around 68 anyway. But you can see that the cooling mode is on, which doesn't matter, nothing's plugged into that. And it will just slowly drop down and get to 68 degrees. Once it does, then I have a heater that will kick on to keep it at 68 degrees. And I'm going to keep it like that for probably a week. And then I'm going to heat it up to about 80 degrees is what I've been reading, because the Saison yeast likes to be heated up at the end to fully ferment out. It's typically known, some Saison yeasts for getting stuck fermentations, but this is basically a dry ale yeast that I'm using here, which is a Saison BE134. It's basically a dry ale yeast, but it's supposed to be used for Belgian Saisons. So this is gonna be interesting to see what happens. And as I said, tomorrow I'm going to take this top off and I'm going to crop some yeast, and we'll check out how it looks. So here we are. It's been about 13-14 hours since I pitched this yeast. It's like probably 8:30 in the morning, and it was, I think, around 6 when I pitched the yeast last night, so it's the next day. When I take this lid off, I assume that you're going to see a little bit of foam on the top of the wort, because most yeast, the first up to 12 hours, the yeast is basically absorbing all of the sugar through its cells and getting ready to plump up and start to split. Once it gets to the point where it splits, it's exponential. So right now it's been about 14 hours. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then tonight, when it's been 24 hours, again, we'll look at what it's like, and I guarantee you it's going to look so much different 10 hours from now. Well, at least I'm hoping. So I'm going to take this lid off, and like I said, this is just sitting on here. And here we are. So yeah, yep, there's the foam. I don't want to lean over that and get anything in there. And I can smell that yeasty smell already. So that's been 14 hours, and we are at just under 70 degrees. So it is just slowly starting to churn away. The heater hasn't had to come on yet because it's around 70 degrees down here. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick look at that and basically what it looks like. And that just sits on there. I'm going to put the ring back on just so nothing hits us and knocks it off. But that's pretty much open fermentation. As I said, if you look up in the ceiling, I don't have an enclosed space here. I do get spiders here and sometimes fruit flies, and I do not want them getting into the wort, or which will be my beer. It's the only reason that I have this lid on. Other than that, this pretty much is like an open fermentation. Some people, they get worried about oxidization, and no, that oxidization cannot happen, and I'll go into that, I think, further in the next video when we see how much foam, how much krausen it's called, is going to form on the top of this in about 10 hours from now. So we'll check in 10 hours. Cheers. This is about 18 hours, and I'm showing you how much this has gone up in temperature. 73.6, and it's like 7:30 in the morning, where the furnace has just come on. It's 18 degrees in the house, and still, look at how much in temperature this thing does go up. It's the only disadvantage, I guess I could say, for open fermenting in this vessel. The way they used to do it in the old days is they'd have what's called cool ships, and there were these buildings that basically had open windows at the top of them, and the rooms up at the top where the beer sat were in long vats that were shallow, so you got more surface area for the yeast, and it could cool off easier. So this, I've actually got as deep as it is wide, so there you go. You've got that difference in temperature, which can cause fruity esters that you may not want in your beer style. But this is 18 hours, so this is getting to the point where it's getting to going to come to a high krausen. Hey guys, and we are back, and man, take a look at that. It's starting to look like something I think I would call beer. Now, let me tell you, man, the smell on this is amazing. It's been 5 days now that it's been fermenting. It's still a little bit above what is down here in temperature. It's around 70 degrees down here, and this is 71.3, so it's still fermenting. But man, the smell of ripe banana coming off this is unbelievable. So it is still fermenting. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to stir up the yeast a little bit more again to help basically with making sure that the yeast stays in suspension to fully ferment out. And I'm just put the lid here. I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to put the gasket back on again for the reason that when I go to put this into kegs, if you take a look, that's down below here is where I actually attach my tubing to go into my keg, and my kegs are taller obviously than that, so to get that level to get into my keg I have to use CO2 pressure, and without the seal on it I can't pressurize this vessel. So I am going to put the seal back on only for that reason, but like I said, this is still a little warm here, but that's okay because it's probably got another couple days to ferment, and after that I'm going to keg it, show a video of kegging it. But look at, oh man, it smells awesome. It is it's almost done fermenting, and I can't wait until I finish this video so I can do a tasting with you guys. And it's gonna be hard with this COVID thing going on. Again, I got to keep a distancing for guys to come and do some beer tasting. But again, guys, this is I'm looking forward to tasting this Saison. So with no further ado, I'll see you guys when I am kegging. Cheers. Hey guys, John from Canadian Brew Channel. How you doing today? I'm doing something different now, make it a little more fun to watch my videos. So I've decided that I'm going to try and go to the different countries that I'm trying to brew a beer from. So today is a Saison beer that I've done. It's an open fermentation, and I decided I would go to France. And here I am at the Louvre. And yeah, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go inside. I'm going to find a cozy little bar to sit in, and we're going to talk about the Saison drink that I've made. So with no further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, how's it going? Here I am with my Saison, beautiful, beautiful beer looking here. It's got a nice light little head on the top of it. I've carbonated it to probably about 3, maybe 2.8, so it's not too carbonated. I've got it about 10 psi on my keg right now, and I'll tell you, this smell, especially when it was fermenting, it was amazing. I mean, the fermentation on this had banana, like ripe banana flavors, also had a clove flavor, or sorry, aroma to it. But when I smell this, it's still there. The hops do add to the flavor of it when I drank it. It's different than I'm used to drinking. It's got a lot of like crisp cleanness to the palate when you drink it. It's like really like feels light on the tongue. However, got a little carried away when I did the adding some extra sugar to bring it up to what today's Saison usually would be like, which is usually around 6.5%, 7%. This one is over 7. I think it's like 7.5. Unfortunately, you can taste the alcohol a little bit in it, which I'm hoping that mellows out a bit. This brew now is about a week and a half old in the keg. And yeah, let's dive in for a taste. Oh, it is quite nice. It's actually mellowed out from when I first drank it. I do like to try my beers. I keg most of my beers, and so I do like to try them out at first when they've just been in the keg for like less than a day. Some of you say, well, then you're drinking it flat. No, I false carbonate in my kegs like a lot of people do, and I do it the way that some people say you shouldn't, but I do it anyway. Basically, you lay your keg on its side, you pressurize the CO2 up to about 40 psi, and you just roll it, rock it back and forth for 5 minutes. It's done, it's carbonated. So I did do that and tried it out. So it was only really a couple, hours in the keg, but it came out like really nice. It's, at first it was a little sharp, but now, I mean, you know what I'm gonna say now is I hadn't had a glass of this in the last 4 or 5 days. I can't taste the alcohol anymore. So that's a good thing, but not such a good thing. It's really mellowed out really well. So I go through, I think, oh no, I did not, on the Saison. I talked about it in one of my last brewing videos. I think that's when I was doing my Nutty Brown Ale, that basically the Saison was created. There's a lot of folklore always in beer culture, but from France, they wanted to give something for the people that were working in the field to keep them, you know, not thirsty, hydrated, even though beer today is going to dehydrate you more than anything. But the Saisons back then were only about 3%, maybe 2.5%. And it was just to give them, you know, just an enjoyment to continue to work. And they were lightly brewed, or sorry, not lightly brewed. There was very little alcohol, as I said, in it, but they highly hopped them. And they did that because it's called a seasonal beer. They actually would make this beer in the wintertime, fall, winter, when they weren't busy with bringing in the crops. And it had to sit over a 6-month period until all the farm hands came in and they could drink it. Beers back in, you know, hundreds of years ago did not shelf stabilize very well. They usually had to be drank within a few weeks, or they just kind of went, skunky. Hops do stop a lot of like the microbial infections, things that will turn a beer. They stop that, so they would highly hop them. Well, today, now they do not use the hops they used to. They use a very light amount of hops, which I did in this one. I kind of balanced it a little bit, put a little bit of bitterness in there. But there's not a lot of body to this because I think I did a mash of 148 degrees, 146, 148. It is in my video that you've seen. I've showed the open fermentation, but this is the final product here, and so far, it's tasting pretty good. There's almost a slight hint of a sulfuric background which you would get on a lager, but I don't know. I'm picking up something really lightly, almost like that lager
aroma that you get. It's very light, I said, in the body because I did a mash it so low, and I also did add a bit of sugar to it to bring the alcohol up to today's standard, of which is usually 6.5, 7.5%. So this beer, really happy with how it turned out, especially doing open fermentation for the first time, which is pretty cool. I do like the color on it, it's very nice. You can see that over through the light. Very, very, very nice, very refreshing. So anyways, as I am sitting here in front of my awesome fire that's going back here, this is something I want to start doing with my channel more, is being able to visit different places. I mean, COVID-19 has kept us all at home, so I've decided, why not bring it to me? So from now on, in the next bunch of videos, just for fun, I'm going to start moving around to the different places in the world. And I'm hoping that the regulations will drop down so I can start having some people sitting with me enjoying my beer. So guys, thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sean, Canadian Brew Channel, cheers.